What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and I'm a little disappointed in some of the responses I've seen from quote unquote our side, and I think it's time to do a little self scouting, to borrow a sports term, or self reflection. The first time this was a big deal in our community, I think, was when Roseanne was fired, and then the world, by the left for making a joke, and then the right or anti SJWs, anti PC culture, went after the director, Tim Gunn, because he had said some terrible things, weird, tasteless jokes, things like that. And it felt justified because if we look at, Rules for Radicals, I think, holding them to their own standard. The problem with that is it perpetuates, in this case, cancel culture. It provides you a position, I think, that feels morally superior, but you're really just doing the same thing. So it feels good to say, an eye for an eye, but of course, as the saying goes, that makes the whole world blind. And this is exactly what has crept up a few times. In fact, I originally made a video basically supporting the removal of him from his position in what's good for the goose is good for the gander type thing. But the problem is that creates a never-ending feedback loop of cancel culture, and honestly, anti-PC, anti-far-left people are worse at it, and we lose more. So selfishly, I don't think you want to get into like this cancel culture battle with the side that basically invented it, going all the way back to the witch trials, things like that. So a couple of days ago, Tim Pool had renowned YouTube communist or socialist Vaush on. To me, his ideas are vile, short-sighted, selfish, and come from a place of extreme privilege, as he would put it. He has said some absolutely horrendous things, like you can ask him what he thinks about the nation of Israel. There are clips about that. You can ask him how he thinks buying motherboards is the same thing as producing films for creeps with, what I'm saying, like the letter C and the letter P. He's had just enormously terrible opinions, in my opinion, about many things worth discussing. However, just like we saw in the last day or two with Alex Jones and Joe Rogan, and we make fun of the people who want Alex deplatformed because some of the things Alex says is insane. That's how I feel about Vaush. He is a product of a similar attraction, I believe. You have somebody who is espousing absolutely absurd ideas. They have a low percentage of factual correctness or practicality, but people tune in for the show. People tune in for the spectacle. That's what Vaush really is, a spectacle, just like Alex Jones is. Both have been probably correct about some things, but that's why people tune in and watch. It's a clown show. The clown show provided by Vaush is pseudo-intellectualism, and Alex is like pseudo, I don't know, like, what would you call it? Like, it's kind of the same thing, right? Being in the know, I guess maybe I would call that. It's a different kind. I can't really think of the word of it. But, one of them is entertaining to me. The other one is spreading actual damaging ideas. But nonetheless, when people push hard for deplatforming and make cases, and I saw plenty of it, it bothers me. Because, yeah, it feels good to say, like, hey, look, I even super chatted and cracked a few jokes, but I would never have not wanted Tim to have him on. And there's a lot of moral grandstanding about Vaush's fandom and how toxic they are. And believe me, they are. They've engaged in doxing. They've, his number one fan is like a total sycophant weirdo, who's not going to get the dignity of a mention here, but they share that section of fandom that will like constantly barrage people on Twitter for months, posting screenshots and stuff, thinking like it's some sweet sick own. But again, that's a symptom of the pseudo intellectualism that really runs rampant on Twitter as well. It's much easier to post an own than to have a conversation or to actually present an idea. Of course, I engage in that as well. I thought for a Friday, I thought we should probably discuss the conversation around Tim and Vaush. Look, let me be very clear. If we look at Tim's most recent podcast episodes, just like when Joe Rogan hosts, right? You can go back and look at... Wait, what is this? This doesn't seem right. Okay. Oh, these are the live shows. Right. We can see they had Jack Murphy on. Seems like a good dude. 267,000 views. Vaush, 440,000 views. You have a regular live show, 260,000 views. Then he has James O'Keefe, literally breaking news, 437,000 views. Okay? Compared to 200,000, 222,000 for normal episodes. So you could say that the Vaush episode will end up with more views than the James O'Keefe one presenting actual evidence. So the idea that there aren't people who are interested in these conversations, whether from the sidelines or not, is just factually incorrect. The point I'm making is just like when people say, we should, the people that want to deplatform Alex, there's a huge audience for it. And because there's a huge audience for it, you should be addressing it. You can't challenge somebody's ideas, from afar and maintain credibility very long. This side of YouTube will constantly be on my Twitter feed demanding I debate them. Debate me, bro. Debate me. I don't debate people. That's not what I do. That's what they think they do. So it would be like me challenging them to be wildly successful at business. It's just not what they do. It's a different playing field. They would certainly defeat me in some sort of debate with rhetoric and tactic. And I concede that point. But, if it's irrelevant, I can't keep putting out videos. Let's say I made a dedicated video about Vaush, which technically this is, but not really. You can only do so many of those before you got to talk to the guy. I think that's reasonable, right? That's why I haven't made a video about him. I made several videos about Destiny. I went and talked to him begrudgingly, but left him disappointed that I wasn't some crazy far right, nut job, that I was agreeable, and it frustrated him because most people are in real life. I could probably have a beer with just about anybody. That's not the point. I saw a lot of people, let's just say, Ian Miles Chong, which I don't consider an ally. You can look at my employment history with him being employed for me and how that ended hilariously. But nonetheless, him saying here, again, on the 27th, Tim Pool giving a platform. Remember how I talk about that? Anyone who kind of uses that language that, oh, you platformed somebody, they're the same person that will talk and support deplatforming. It's one of the things I talk about even with like Cernovich. He's also, and maybe that's changed recently, but he's also in the past been kind of a right-leaning person or an anti-PC culture person who supports cancel culture and supports deplatforming under the guise of, an eye for an eye. But again, I believe that in this, or people who really want to justify it will say, well, it was in Rules for Radicals. We've got to hold these people to their own standards. I don't think that there's any value in that because these people often don't hold themselves to their own standards, right? We know that a lot of people like Vaush talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. It's easy to talk about giving up wealth while receiving thousands of dollars in super chats. I mean, I wonder if he's redistributing that to this local community. Maybe he is. I doubt it. Maybe he is. So when you think you're holding them to their own standards, it's pointless. They're incapable of it. And ultimately, what you end up with is a self-justification for deplatforming, just one that makes you feel better about doing it. And you see giving a platform to, and of course, Ian is currently, he flips and flops just like Baked did. But he's currently on we're going to call everyone the P word. I don't think that Vaush is that. And I think that just tossing that around willy-nilly is not productive. It's not good. It devalues that word. It's just like the left and their, how they've devalued 1,000 words that used to mean different things, right? But the right does this with the P word. Now, I know he has made some horrendous rhetoric defenses of these people. Maybe in his own mind, it's just for the sake of the conversation. I don't know. But I haven't seen any evidence that he's interested in, kids. But then you see Adam, by the way, here, no shade at Adam. Just, I thought this was interesting. Him saying, I agree. And then going on to say, people who think this is the same as cancel culture are adding context to this. I would never have him in my house if I had a choice. He has doxed people in the past, and Tim has told me many times that he's on certain lists. He has a platform already. Tim chose to share his. This is a calculated risk, and I don't think that Vaush himself has shared any documents. I know for a fact his fans have. I saw it happen live on a live stream in the chat as it was going on. I think it was AJW at the time. But again, Vaush is not responsible directly for what his fandom does. I understand the argument that taking that risk is a calculated one, and you could have held it remotely. And the question is, does Ian Miles Chong's opinion change if Tim Pool had hosted him remotely? No, it doesn't. He's using the same deplatforming rhetoric that the far left uses. And to me, I don't think that that's a good way to go. It doesn't accomplish anything. Now, I'm going to be on Tim's show next week, and I am not one bit afraid for my safety there. I might disinfect the chair or microphone, but at the same time, I wanted to do this video so that people don't fall into this trap. The trap of, thinking that doing the same thing back to somebody is somehow better if you do it. Vaush has a reasonable platform and certainly plenty of interest, as I've proven through the analytics, just basic, undeniable fact. And if you don't bring somebody on and challenge their ideas, then what? Then their platform continues to grow unchallenged. If you truly disagree with them, then you bring them on and you have a discussion. You can't selectively enforce these opinions. You can't back Alex's, because Alex has had some wild ideas. As entertaining as he is, he's had some wildly inaccurate opinions about things. You can't defend him and then go and say, well, yeah, but Vaush. They both bring the same liability to a show. They both have things that need to be fact-checked and challenged. But you can't fall into that trap. So just think, I think it's a good time to just do a little self-scouting and think about that. There's a lot of what that kid talks about that's hilariously disconnected to me. But you know what? I also just don't have to watch a 4-hour episode of a communist. I just can not watch that. It's very easy for me, especially with the new puppy. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've thought a little bit about it, and we'll talk to you again real soon.